Angus.
And how did they spell it wrong?
I don't remember, but it's not right, I don't think. So people don't know I had anything to do with it. I don't know how you got in. Did they let you in?
Yes, I told them I had been a part of the film as well, and so I knew your work, and they let me come and visit you.
All right.
Now, Phil, could you tell me, how did you decide to make Tater Tomater?
Oh, well, I had seen Behold Zebulon, Angus's play that included that scene, and in fact I had seen the core Tater Tomater scene earlier in the sketch show that Angus and Beth did.
Can I help you with some bread tonight? Butter, margarine,
Tater, tomato.
and I'm not getting off tonight. Need some more cornbread up here? Come now, we need some more cornbread. That is the third time I've had to ask for that today. I believe she's just ignoring me. She irks me to my very soul. Butter, margarine, I can't stand her.
I hate her. Tater, tomato.
It must be 110 degrees in that kitchen, and Donnell just burst the cornbread again. Darcy, keep an eye on your tater supply. There's a customer, y'all better wait on him. Good evening.
Butter, margarine.
Come on, Darcy. I got the notes. We'll take a dinner break now or later.
I think I'll take mine later. Can I help you with some bread tonight? Butter, margarine.
Yeah, write it down. Doris, how about you take yours now or later? Okay, I know what you mean.
So I was a fan of the material, and I needed to make a movie for school. So when we first decided to make the movie, I was 17, I guess, or 18, 17, 18, a long time ago.
And what school were you in?
At NYU, at New York University. So, and then Matt Mindlin, who was the director of photography of the movie and producer of the movie, was my roommate as well. We were roommates and we were both film students. And so we collaborated on the making of it, you know, on getting it all done, which was, you know, sort of producing the movie from New York, even though it was shooting in North Carolina, was quite a task. I think we got in Matt's father's car a lot and drove and made road trips down there.
Did you bring other people from NYU with you?
Yes, the sound crew was from NYU, including Ethan Gusso, who is the son of Mel Gusso, the theater critic from the New York Times. There's a piece of trivia. And Marco Oneida, who was a roommate of ours, who was here from Italy. He was from Milan, and he needed somewhere to go for Christmas, so he came down. He came down with us. Yeah.
Now, tell me about your relationships.
Oh, and the gaffer, Pete West,
Yeah.
who was a North Carolinian but lived in New York worked as a lighting designer. There were a few people from Shelley DiChiara, a few people from New York. Think about the people like Dave Dornberg, who was the assistant camera person. He's gone on to a career in, you know, in film as a production designer, actually, and he had nothing to do with the art direction or anything of Tater Tomater, like that sign, for instance. I know that the sign, Famous for Our Chicken, that was actually made by George Spiros, who was the editor of the movie and the assistant director of the movie. He co-assistant director with Godfrey Cheshire, who is a film critic and has become one of the leading scholars of Iranian cinema in the United States since then. And Dave Dornberg's production designer of movies like Gummo and Jesus' Son and Palindromes, the new Todd Solondz movie, and many others. Matt Mindlin in Los Angeles, like the so it's George Spiros, the editor and assistant director, made a feature film called The Last Days of May that is really good and really moving, and which Matt Mindlin shot.
When you got together and you decided on the name of the film company that you wanted to produce it under, how did that happen?
Oh, Standing in a Lake Film Productions. That's because Matt Mindlin was worked on a movie about the making of the movie Legal Eagles, which the fondly remembered Ivan Reitman picture, Legal Eagles, with Robert Redford and Deborah Winger, I guess. And Matt worked on that, and he had some rigorous, awful all-night shoots, which one early morning he returned from one, and I asked, well, what was it like? Because it was like, what's it like to be on a big Hollywood movie? Of course, we were very interested in that. And he said, it's kind of like standing in a lake full of leeches in the cold, and it probably got kind of obscene. It was like a long, stretched out description of what it's like to actually be on a movie set. And we abbreviated that to Standing in a Lake, and that was the reality of what it was like to make a movie. So that's how it became Standing in a Lake Film Productions. And then I think the film productions part was us just kind of being arty, because like Herzog or Wenders or whoever, like their things would always be a something film production, German. So that's how the film productions part came in instead of just productions, because we were sophomores. Or no, juniors by that point, but we were still kind of like sophomores.
Now, I know you and Angus are both from Winston-Salem. Is that how you chose the location? I mean, did you know all the time that you were going to film it in Winston-Salem? And how did you find that CNC cafeteria and decide that that was going to be the location for your movie?
We were just driving around, Angus had, by that point in his career, Angus had worked in pretty much every cafeteria in town, and so he knew that the CNC cafeteria was going to be being torn down to make a new highway, where there was Old Salisbury Road and Silas Creek Parkway, and that was going to be gone. So he was aware of that, and he took us there, and that was one of the places where he still had a good relationship with the management. And I mean, it seemed like it. They were polite to him anyway. Like, they patronized him. You know what I mean? People are nice to Angus. Like, people understand about it. And like, so they let us shoot there. Yeah, which was great because they were closing down anyway. So it was perfect. Like, it was our Christmas break from school, and they were closed for good, but not yet torn down. And they still allowed Angus on the premises. And so of all the cafeterias in town, they had all the elements that we needed.
Now, this is the former site of the Loeb Student Center. This building isn't that, but that's where Tater Tomater was shown the first time. It's right across the street from Washington Square Park, right on NYU campus, and that was the first audience it ever had at NYU. Now, in 1989, we actually had the premiere in Winston-Salem, which was very exciting because a lot of people then who were in it could come and actually see the film. It was at the Arts Council Theater on June the 12th, and there were two showings at 8 and 9:30. I think it sold out both showings. Of course, sold being a loose term because it was free, but we did charge $3 if people wanted to give, and I don't think a lot of people did actually donate. And then it got shown at the Bleecker Street Theater. Now, this used to be the Bleecker Street Theater. It's now Kim's Video Store, but it's nearby NYU, and that's where it got its second showing. It was at a festival called New Directions, and it was reviewed by Vincent Canby here in the New York Times, and there were 8 films. He only mentioned 6 of them, and he talked about Tater Tomater. I mean, a lot of short films get made and never get mentioned by Vincent Canby, so that's pretty exciting. I mean, he didn't do a lot of talking about it, just sort of said what it was about, and he mentioned Phil and Angus, so that's pretty exciting, I think.
Can I help you with some bread tonight? Butter, margarine? No, honey, get your hand back. Let me get it for you.
Tater Tomater. Refrigerator.
Okay, can I help you with some bread tonight? Butter, margarine.
Radiator.
Can I help you with some bread tonight?
Operator.
Butter, margarine.
Tater Tomater.
Now, in 1992, it actually got shown at the Sundance Film Festival. Now, Angus had been working out there sort of as a volunteer for a few years, so he got to know some people. And so when Tater Tomater got finished, then he talked to them about maybe having a showing. So it actually got a sort of a little premiere out there. I mean, it wasn't in competition or anything, but a lot of people saw it and they got some really good feedback. And so it was really exciting for, again, this little tiny movie to be shown at a festival that's so popular. I mean, to say it was shown at Sundance, people just, their eyes get big and everybody gets excited. So I think that's a great thing. PBS picked it up in 1992 also to show it after a movie called The Feud. A lot of people saw it then. And then it got picked up by Nick at Night because Nick at Night had a show called Night Flight. And that was on and had movies on there, but a lot of them weren't 2 whole hours. So they'd stick Tater Tomater in as the filler after the movie wasn't long enough. Then in 1997, I launched the Tater Tomater website. Now, I had no idea if anybody had ever come to that website. And all of a sudden, people started logging in and signing on the guest book and saying, oh, I saw Tater Tomater on PBS, I saw it on Night Flight. It was so funny. I mean, I thought, gosh, I didn't know so many people had seen it. I didn't know it had been shown in California and Canada and all these places. So in 1999, that's when I began selling it. When you think about New York, you just don't think about Tater Tomater. I mean, you think about all the landmarks, you think about the big tall skyscrapers and everything, but you don't think about some little tiny movie about the South being shown in New York City. I mean, especially not in a place that people have heard of. I mean, maybe in some offbeat place. If you think of West 54th Street and you think of a museum on West 54th Street that it might be shown on, you wouldn't think that it would be shown at a museum other than the American Folk Art Museum. I mean, I could see it being shown there. It's certainly, I think, a work of folk art. The Museum of Modern Art? I don't think so. Most people would never have thought it would be shown there. But in 2001, it actually was for 2 days because First Run Features, the company that owned the distribution rights to the movie, was having a retrospective of other movies that they had shown, and they decided to show Tater Tomater as well. Then in 2005, it got shown there again because it was in a group of shorts that had been shown at Sundance before. And since Phil and Angus had just had a movie out there at Sundance in February of 2005, they decided to show Tater Tomater as their first movie together. So on April 22nd and April 24th of 2005, once again, Tater Tomater was shown at the Museum of Modern Art. There was a pretty good crowd there, actually. There were a lot of people, and they seemed to really enjoy it. I know Phil knows a lot of people in New York, so I guess that's why they were there. But down in the bowels of the Museum of Modern Art, the new one, they have 2 theaters, and that's where it was shown.
The Museum of Modern Art have been so kind to this short over the years. And I'd like to acknowledge Angus McLaughlin, who wrote the screenplay, who is here. And Vivian Tedford and Lee Sellers, who you will see in a minute, who also I know are here with us tonight. I'm glad they could be here. We made this in the end of 1987, and thesis, it's my junior project at NYU undergrad, but it's just about probably the only time it's been screened like on a screen like this since it was at Sundance in 1992, except maybe once here. So it's been a long time. So I'm glad you can watch it. Thanks.
And in the summer of 2005, Tater Tomater was shown at the UCLA museum called the Hammer Museum. You know, it was the same series of shorts that was shown at the Museum of Modern Art. They just took those Sundance shorts and they put them out at UCLA. Now, it's pretty exciting because there's a lot of film type people that hang around at UCLA. I mean, students as well as people that have been in the film industry for a long time. So I think a lot of people got to see it, and actually maybe the word about Tater Tomater will spread. And as you can see, the other films that are in the series are pretty exciting too. There's 2 films from directors from New Zealand, of all places, and there's even an early, very short but very funny film from Spike Jonze. So it's in really good company, so it's nice to have it be showcased in such a way.
Oh, and I was but a baby boy, and I was bouncing on my papa's knee. to me.